Good evening, everyone. This is a very unprecedented time in our history, and I just really want to emphasize how important this is, but I also want to ensure that we remain calm. This is not, we're not being attacked by a foreign power, but we are being attacked. And so with that, your council tonight, through ARS 26-311, authorizes the mayor of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, to proclaim the existence of a local emergency when the city of Casa Grande is affected or likely to be affected by public calamity or disaster. And the Casa Grande City Charter and state law allow the mayor to govern by proclamation during this time. So today, on March 18th of 2020, the mayor and city council of the city of Casa Grande adopted resolution number 5223, declaring a state of emergency within the city as a result of the threat of the COVID-19 outbreak.
Wow, it's hard to imagine it was a year ago when we began dealing with COVID-19. It's been an amazing year. It's been a tough year, I know, for a lot of people. But that being said, welcome to the state of the city. A lot has happened since the start of the pandemic. We've all endured a level of hardship and loss. Some businesses have shuttered, while some residents have been laid off. Your city council and I continue to pray for all of you, especially those who have endured the unimaginable loss of a loved one. Indeed, there has been significant impact to most of our lives in different ways, and yet the state of our city remains strong. It remains resilient, and it's growing. The unique quality that makes Casa Grande so special is our deep sense of community. Residents have shown an extraordinary capacity to care for and help meet the needs of their fellow neighbors and friends. That's why the City Council, staff, and I, along with community partners, have continued to focus on helping meet the needs of our residents and local businesses. Through these partners, the city has provided over $1 million in qualifying financial support to our community through several personal protection equipment and paycheck protection program grants. This includes assistance to our local schools and our local nonprofits. We've helped to shine a light on personal stories of local COVID survivors and healthcare experts through our recent COVID town hall. The city also recently partnered with Sun Life Family Health to host a free vaccination clinic at our community recreation center. Now let's hear from our Deputy City Manager, Stephen Weaver, as he shares more about the city's investment to support our community.
So shortly after the pandemic got underway in March of 2020, the federal government passed the CARES Act, which is the Coronavirus Relief and Economic Security Act, to help with assistance to American workers, families, small business, and preserve the American industry. And so this money was initially given to states and counties and cities over the population of 500,000. That did not relate to the city of Casa Grande because we're roughly 60,000. A lot of the cities started to complain when the monies went to the state, and the state decided that they were going to give out a portion of their money that they got to the individual cities to be used in their communities for coronavirus relief. The city received about $6.7 million that we were supposed to use was for public safety salaries. So that money was directly used for that, and then the savings that we had in our budget was used for relief for our businesses and individuals in the community. The city decided that we would come up with a couple different programs. We had two different programs, the business assistance program and the residential assistance. The residential assistance program was monies that we were going to give out to third parties or nonprofits to administer several different programs to help in the community. utility, rent, and temporary housings for residences, food banks, child care programs, and internet access for students at home. The other half of the money we dedicated to the Business Assistance Program. So on August 12, 2020, the city launched its first round of Business Assistance Program to businesses and federally recognized nonprofits. What they had to do is show that they had a 25% loss from the previous year. They had to be located within the city limits. They had to have a current business license, and then they had to have the receipts to show forth. The city developed a committee that reviewed these applications, and we went through and made sure they met all the qualifications, and then we distributed this money out. In the first round, we gave out $236,000 to 47 local businesses and nonprofits. Since we had money left over, we established the second program on October 14, 2020, and this was for the PPE reimbursement program. So this is for the personal protective equipment the business had to put up in order to stop the spread of the virus. So this was masks, it was cleaner, those kind of things. And you didn't have to show a 25% loss. All you had to do is show receipts for that. And the city gave out $26,399 to 15 businesses and nonprofits. Additionally, still had some money left over, so we established the second round of the Business Assistance Program. We increased the cap from $10,000 to $20,000, and we allowed the same criteria in the first round, but we also increased the extension of property for businesses, particularly with restaurants, where they could go out in their front area and serve people. And so we promoted the outdoor dining. Overall, the city helped over 100 businesses and nonprofits and distributed $490,000.
In the midst of such sacrifice and hardship, Casa Grande is doing what it does best, leaning forward. We're determined to combat lingering effects of the pandemic and navigate our city into coming back smarter and stronger. Let's take a closer look at challenges, achievements, and how our city staff is working hard to help our community rebound. So let's hear from Kevin Lewis, our Director of Public Works. Kevin?
Hi, I'm Kevin Lewis. I'm the Director of Public Works for the City of Casa Grande. And boy, am I glad to have 2020 behind us. What a difficult year that was. But to be honest, there were some highlights and some lowlights. Obviously, having to deal with the pandemic, all the city departments had to really work hard to navigate this pandemic. But I have to tell you, I'm really proud of our Public Works team and their ability to continue to provide the level of services that they were able to provide during this entire ordeal. And of course, it's not over yet. And it took a lot of assistance from all the other departments throughout the city. We work as a team, so very proud of their efforts throughout this entire pandemic. There were some negatives and positives with the pandemic. Some of the negatives, difficulty finding parts for our fleets department to keep our vehicles running over this year. And even the ordering of new vehicles. We're waiting 6 to 9 months in some instances, waiting for vehicles to be manufactured so we can put them in service. And a great loss out at the airport was our Foxtrot Cafe. We were very sad to see that go, but a positive out at the airport was the fact that we're selling more Jet A fuel than we have ever done in the history of the airport. Over 6,000 gallons in a week in some instances. So at the start of this year, halfway through the year, we had to go back for some additional budget authority just to be able to purchase additional fuel to sell this year. So great revenue stream to support the airport. Very happy to see that. And we know the pandemic isn't over yet, but I feel like the Public Works team and the rest of the city is stronger because of this, and we're ready for our next challenge that we face. Several years ago, we rolled out our C-Click Fix program. That's an opportunity for people to use an app on their phone and actually contact the city with work orders. And those work orders can range from potholes to a site where there's graffiti or even sewer order issues. So we're able to track those requests as they come in. And in 2020, we actually responded to and closed out over 5,600 requests from residents. The nice thing about See-Click Fix is whoever makes that request is able to follow the progress as we work through that request in real time through that system. So great opportunity for us to increase our level of public service that we provide to the city. We completed several projects over this past year. 2 traffic signals were constructed, one at Peart and McCartney. And I'm sure if you've gone through that intersection, you've seen the increased efficiency at that location, as well as one out at Thornton and Peters. And that's directly related to all the construction traffic that's happening out in that industrial corridor, specifically for the Lucid construction at the southwest corner of that intersection. We completed 3 construction pavement projects this year, one in the Western Manor subdivision, one in the Caspita y Grande subdivision, as well as our South of the Tracks project, which included Florence Street, Main Avenue, and 3rd Street. That required the removal of some old concrete down there, and the original concrete that we removed was actually placed into service in 1930. And the contractor was lucky enough to find a piece of that concrete that actually had the contractor's stamp showing that date and the contractor's name. So kind of excited to see that. So Public Works has a lot of projects coming up in the future over this next year. We've completed the design of 2 traffic signals and we'll work on constructing those. The first one is at Jimmy Kerr Boulevard and Sunland Gin, a very busy intersection, and has some safety issues out there. So this traffic signal will really help to improve the efficiency of that intersection and improve the safety for people traveling through that. And we're also going to be constructing a new traffic signal for access into our airport industrial park, and that's at Pinal Avenue and Centennial Avenue. And that will really help with traffic going in and out of that industrial area. Other projects include the intersection improvements at Treckle and Florence. We're going to be doing some work with the turn lanes in that intersection to improve the efficiency there, as well as some new striping south of that intersection, turning 4-lane road into actually a 2-lane road to provide parking and turn lanes for traffic running through that segment. Very excited about that. We're also going to be doing pavement improvements on Maricopa Casa Grande Highway between here and Maricopa. That roadway gets a lot of traffic and is deteriorating very quickly. So looking forward to getting some of those pavement improvements completed, as well as some safety improvements at the intersection of Val Vista and Maricopa Casa Grande Highway. We are very excited to be kicking off the project of finishing the widening of Peart Avenue at between O'Neill and Cottonwood Lanes. This is the second half of the project. First half was with the construction of the rec center and the widening of that section of road. This will complete the entire segment between Courts and Cottonwood. Very excited to have that completed. With the development activity in our industrial area south of Highway 84, we're going to be working on several projects in that area. We've completed some to date to support the Lucid project, but we've got more coming in the future. The first phase of the widening of Thornton Road will be between Peters and Selma Highway. That's the entire frontage in front of the new Lucid factory. Very excited to get that project going, and on the heels of that, we'll be finishing up our design of Peters Road that is west of Thornton, and hopefully getting that construction kicked off in 23 or 24. And with all this development activity, we have to take a look at our wastewater system. Of course, we've got a master plan in place, but we're looking at that master plan and trying to identify those areas in our collection system that may not be able to support some of the infill development that's occurring. So we'll be looking at those areas, prioritizing those, designing those, and then hopefully moving into construction in the next few years. We're also looking at our treatment facility. Obviously, we have capacity today, but with the development activity we're seeing, that capacity could be used up very quickly. So we'll be looking at developing a concept for our next phase of treatment throughout the city and moving forward with that planning effort as well. So I am really pleased that Public Works is poised to hopefully ride this economic wave that we're seeing, and we're ready for whatever the future has. As a matter of fact, I'm really excited to see what Casa Grande looks like in 2025. So it should be a fun ride.
Parks, rec center, libraries, trail system, and my favorite, Dave White Golf Course, are this man's specialty. Along with Steve, our Director of Community Services, Amber Kent, also our Head of Libraries, will give us an update from the Community Services Department.
Hello, I'm Steve Hardesty, the Director of Community Services for the City of Casa Grande. 2020 has been quite a year. The pandemic affected our department in a variety of ways. At the beginning, most of those were negative. Most of our facilities were closed, our parks were closed, and our programs were suspended. This included the Dorothy Powell Senior Center, both of our libraries, the Recreation Center, the Aquatic Park. Our initial reaction was to challenge our staff to come up with creative ways that we could still provide services to the community, but in a safe and friendly manner. Our initial thoughts were to continue essential services to our seniors. Those were the most vulnerable in our community, and we quickly reacted to provide home-delivered meals and congregate meals in a touchless way. The home-delivered meals program never missed a day, so we were very excited and proud of our staff to come up with that. The golf course was deemed essential by the governor. So golf actually saw an increased number of rounds throughout the 2020 and into 2021. Staff came up with creative ways to provide touchless golf that golfers could still perform outdoor recreation, but in a safe manner. The Recreation Center has been used in a number of ways that are different from our normal recreational activities. The city partnered with Banner Casa Grande to host several blood drives during critical times during the pandemic. In addition, Sun Life partnered with the city to host a mass vaccination at the Recreation Center in March. Starting in late summer, our department started to reopen incrementally. Our parks reopened. We started having limited practices. We have kept our ramadas closed for reservations. People can use those. What we're trying to do is to not promote big group gatherings, but still have people go out in our parks and use them and remain active in our community. I was very proud of our staff to come up with two of our major events. July 4th was still conducted. July 4th was done in a drive-through manner. We had thousands of citizens stay in their cars, stay with their family, and still see a great July 4th show. The other highlight of our major events was the Electric Light Parade. The Electric Light Parade was changed into the Electric Light Tour. Over 100 businesses and residents participated by providing stationary displays that families could safely visit in the comfort of their own car. What's been very unique during this pandemic is that our citizens are using our parks and facilities in different ways than we ever thought of before. Hiking and biking, use at the golf course, all of these type of things, citizens are looking for ways to get outdoors, remain active, but also stay socially distanced. If you go out to Car McNatt in the evening and see the number of people walking the track, it's very impressive, and we're very happy that our citizens are still staying active during the pandemic. Visitors to Casa Grande Mountain have been exponential over the last year. There's been many hikers, mountain bikers, and a few equestrians use the mountain. We are embarking on a program to try to clean up the mountain. On Saturday, April 3rd, we will be hosting our first ever Clean Up Casa Grande Mountain. Volunteers and staff will be meeting on the south end of the mountain to pick up trash, to start eliminating access points where illegal off-road vehicles and illegal shooting currently takes place. This mountain cleanup hopefully will make things safer for all users and definitely safer for the hikers, bikers, and equestrians that use our trails.
So when the libraries closed back in March, we were all surprised. And the reason is that libraries don't typically close for natural disasters or unrest, but the pandemic was something different. And so the libraries closed and all of the staff were either sent home on leave or reassigned to other departments. So several of our library staff members helped with delivering meals with the senior center, or they might have been helping in finance or in the police department or helping with records, anywhere that their talents were needed. The libraries remained closed completely for about 6 weeks. At the end of 6 weeks, a few staff started to come back, and we were able to offer just curbside services. So someone might order a book or a movie online, and they would stop by the library, and staff would meet them outside to hand off their materials. And that service has continued, but it didn't take long for us to realize that one of our main services that the community needs, especially at the downtown library, is the computers, the public internet. A lot of people in our community don't have access to internet at home, and they might not have technology. We had the Wi-Fi extended out into the parking lot, and so even when we were closed, anyone who had their device could still use the wireless internet out in the parking lot. But if you didn't have a device, you didn't have any way to access the internet. So that was one of our main priorities. Once we were able to add the plexiglass and move things around and rearrange so that the computers could be used safely, then we started welcoming patrons inside the building to use the computers in addition to the curbside services. Right now, where we are, you are welcome to visit either library branch. Either location is open Monday through Friday, and you can browse the collection or use the computer or use the Wi-Fi in a study room. If you choose not to come inside the library, you're welcome to use the curbside pickup or our contactless home delivery service options. We have virtual programs for all ages. For kids, we have story time and crafts and puppet shows. And for adults, we have book clubs, book discussions. We have special presenters, including one that's later this month that is a lecture on the Beatles, which is going to be really exciting. And we also have some Spanish classes that we just started. Another thing that we chose to offer when we were closed for the pandemic were Gale courses. So with your library card, you have access to hundreds of online free classes on anything from accounting and personal finance to photography or guitar or healthy cooking. And all of that's free for you. All you need is the internet and a computer. So you can even take those here at the library. We also have virtual volunteer opportunities. So if you're interested in sharing your time and talents and your love of literacy with the students in Casa Grande, you might consider joining the AARP Foundation Experience Corps program and tutoring third graders in our local elementary schools virtually. So we have something for everyone here at the library, and we want to welcome everyone back. We have missed you, and we love to see you inside the library.
CGPD, or the Casa Grande Police Department, the guys and the gals that keep us safe. Let's hear from Thomas Anderson, our Police Department Public Information Officer.
The Casa Grande Police Department's Beat Team initiative reinforces our community policing efforts. We have 5 patrol shifts covering the city 24/7. Officers on these shifts are assigned to one of 5 patrol beats covering the geography of the city. Beat teams consist of all officers from these 5 shifts who share a particular beat. These teams are designed to enhance the autonomy and problem-solving abilities of officers by incorporating bi-monthly public meetings where teams can share information and uncover community concerns. This initiative embeds community policing at a grassroots level, elevates informal leaders, and builds stronger communication between officers and the citizens they serve.
Thank you, Thomas. Next, we'll hear from the Casa Grande Fire Department, our frontline men and women of the city's fire department, our firefighters. Let's hear what they are up to from Chief David Keene. Chief, take it away.
Welcome to the Casa Grande Fire Department. My name is Dave Keene. I'm the fire chief here in the city of Casa Grande. Obviously, it goes without saying that this year has been unprecedented in the fire service and the demands that have been placed on us because of COVID. Our fire department has been increasing our call load from 4 to 6% every year. This year, we're probably going to be in the 11,500 to 12,000 calls for the city this year. There was a lot of trepidation and fear in the community when COVID first came out. Our intuition would think, oh, calls are going to go up because of COVID, but actually calls went down, and that's not just a Casa Grande thing. It's a nationwide thing. A lot of places, calls for service went down because people were reluctant to go to the hospital for things that they normally would have gone to the hospital before, but they were reluctant to go to the hospital in the emergency rooms for fear of catching COVID. Obviously with COVID, we've had to make adjustments we had a very active community risk reduction or program in the schools that we used for public education. And our public education officer, she's had to make a number of changes to her presentations and the way she interacts with the children in the schools. It's not the same because school hasn't been in session. So we've had to switch to a lot of interactive and Zoom type or WebEx type meetings on the internet so that we can get that done. And one of the services that we do provide to the community is CPR training and first aid training that people need for employment or they want just because they want the peace of mind of having that training. She's had to switch to an online platform for a lot of that, but we are still offering that. Really the only big change that's come is our fire headquarters here and our fire facilities. Because of COVID, we don't have visitors. We haven't been doing station tours and the things that we normally had done in the past. One thing that I'm very proud of that our department has accomplished this year is ISO comes in and rates the fire service in your cities. They come in every 5 years and do that. We felt that we had improved some things so significantly, we asked for an early check on our ISO rating this year. And with our upgrades that we've made to our communication center and to our infrastructure regarding our communications by adding 800 megahertz radio system in the city, the fire department runs the communication division for the city. So we dispatch for police and fire. And one of the upgrades that we accomplished was the 800 megahertz radio system is now up and operational in the city. All of our police officers are now on the 800 megahertz system, which is a better platform. And some of fire operations in the fire department's radios are going to go to the 800 megahertz as well. So that's a significant thing for the city, and it helped boost our ISO rating. The best rating you can have is ISO 1. We were an ISO 3. We were a 4 when I got here. We moved to a 3, and we've now moved to an ISO 2, which is a significant accomplishment. Only about 4% of fire departments in the United States are ISO 2 rated, and we are. So I'm very proud of that. The men and women of the Casa Grande Fire Department should be very proud, along with our men and women that work in our communications division as well.
The low acuity unit is here at Station 501, and it's a unit that we would use for less emergent calls. The fire engines have 4 people on it, two advanced life support paramedics and 2 EMTs, and we send them to all the major emergencies, a traffic accident, a heart attack, a stroke. We have a lot of calls that are just a minor call. Somebody's playing pickleball over at the park and they trip and break their ankle. Calls that we would consider low acuity or not a major or super emergent call would be something that we would want to send the low acuity unit on. We send them to the call, no lights and sirens, but the more minor stuff, we send the low acuity unit to it. Engine 501 and ladder tender 502 are the 2 busiest units in the city. This low acuity unit has helped take the load off these units and kept them available for the more serious responses by putting this rig in service.
In 2020, the city engaged residents for creative ideas and input into updating our general plan. This general plan will guide city's development through 2030. With shared vision and consideration of our valuable resources, like water, Casa Grande will strategically plan, develop, and grow smarter and stronger. Let's now hear from our planning guru, Planning Director, Mr. Paul Tice.
I'm Paul Tice, the Planning and Development Director for the City of Casa Grande. So over the past year, myself and my staff spent a significant portion of our time in developing a new general plan for Casa Grande. This is the new 2030 general plan for Casa Grande. By state law, communities must update their general plan once every 10 years. The last general plan for Casa Grande was adopted in 2009. We call that our 2020 general plan. So this is our 2030 general plan. It's critical for a successful general plan to make sure you get public input to understand the community growth and development issues that need to be addressed by the plan in order for the public to embrace the new plan and for it to successfully guide the community for the future. So for the Casa Grande general plan, we kicked off our public and stakeholder process and public involvement process with a large half-day community meeting just at the beginning of 2020. I think it was January 25th of 2020. And we had really good turnout for that plan and great public input from all kinds of different citizens from our community. And as a result of that meeting, we kind of identified the community issues that really needed to be addressed with the new general plan. And they included limited water resources to support growth and development, a desire to promote the infill of vacant land that could be easily served by city services, the need to expand housing choices for various segments of the community, the desire to bring new activity and development and revitalize our downtown area, and lastly, really to drive our growth of the community through the creation of good quality jobs and employment opportunity. In addition to after the kickoff for the community meeting, we created a steering forum, a broad community-based group that was chaired by Mayor McFarland, and it had representatives from neighborhoods, the development community, our adjacent tribal nations, open space, recreational activists, business owners, the Latino community, farming and ranching interest, City Council, of course, and Planning Commission representatives sat on the group. The steering forum really just guided the direction of the plan. We actually met monthly over 2020, and that group really provided some really solid guidance to the formulation of the plan. In addition to our steering forum, we created a technical advisory committee that had representatives from all the city departments, as well as various utilities and water providers and transportation agencies. And that group really provided the technical and professional support to the plan, especially in the areas of transportation and water resources. We really wanted to reach out also to the younger generation, so we met with the Youth Commission to talk to them about what their concerns were and what community issues needed to be addressed from their perspective in the new general plan. And that was a very enlightening meeting, and their input was reflected in the general plan as well. We did create a website for the general plan early on in the project, and that website was up and running for the last year, and we posted on the website information as we developed it for the new general plan. We allowed the public to review that and to comment on it, and to make sure that the public was brought along the whole time and was informed of the progress of the plan. Because of COVID, we couldn't hold very many in-person meetings, so we did host a online meeting for the public, which we broadcast on the YouTube, Facebook Live, and Channel 11, during which we presented the plan to the public, allowed the public to ask questions, and to provide additional input into the general plan before it was completely finalized and then brought to Planning Commission, who approved it, and then to City Council, who adopted it. The general plan, though, by state law, has to be voted on by the public and the citizens of Casa Grande. The vote is scheduled for May 18th of this year, and hopefully, with that will be our last successful step, and the plan will be ratified by the public, and then we can start using our new general plan to guide the community for the next 10, 20, even 30 years.
COVID-19 negatively impacted our local businesses, as it has across the nation. Still, it may surprise you to learn that Casa Grande has managed to grow our local economy through the addition of companies like Lucid Motors. Lucid will hire 1,600 new employees by the end of 2021, with an estimated 6,000 new jobs by build-out of 2028. Additionally, other new companies are coming into town, like Jomi Engineering, Spartan Truck Company, Texas Roadhouse, QT, Realabee's Taco Shop, Best Western, Salad and Go, Filiberto's, Hideout Steakhouse, Burger King, Mr. Baja, and of course, our new auto mall in the old Sam's Club. We truly are experiencing a growing horizon. So now, let's hear from Mr. Richard Wilkie, our Economic Development Director, and our partners.
Bustling with opportunity, growing sustainably, investing in the future. Located in the heart of Arizona's innovation and technology corridor, where quality of life meets economic opportunity. Home of the first greenfield electric vehicle plant in North America. Welcome to Casa Grande, our growing horizon.
Well, it's a super exciting time to be in Casa Grande. We have Lucid that wasn't even here a year ago. Now they have a 900,000 square foot facility that's open, and they're building cars. We just approved their phase 2 at Planning and Zoning, and that will begin starting next month. They're going to add 3 million square feet to that facility, 1,600 jobs this year. Unbelievable game changer for the city of Casa Grande. In addition to that, we've got a new trail system that we're going to start building the first mile of this year within the city of Casa Grande, so it's a bike and walking path. We've got new rec centers, we've got repurposed our parks, we've got repurposing the Sam's Club, and now it's going to be a new auto mall. New housing starts this last year. We had 1,400 new home starts, and it's just a super exciting time to be in Casa Grande.
Hello, my name is Mike Boyke. I'm head of manufacturing operations here for Lucid Motors. Welcome to AMP1. We're just getting ready to start production of the Lucid Air, which will be breaking all the norms for an automobile. We're excited, and we couldn't think of a better place to start our operations than here in Casa Grande. There are many reasons why we chose Casa Grande, primarily the infrastructure, the proximity to our headquarters in California, proximity to supply chain. There's a lot of great things here in Arizona, and Casa Grande is a perfect location for us.
Why is Casa Grande the place to build? Location, land, infrastructure, workforce, connectivity, incentives, and a high quality of life.
From big dreams and big skies to short commutes and community pride, come see why Casa Grande is becoming the bright spot in Arizona's future.
Your City Council and I continue to work together on our strategic plan. Those key areas include fiscal responsibility, quality of life, marketing, economic opportunities, education and workforce development, and healthy and safe community. This plan has helped guide city policy and department actions. And recently I had an opportunity to ask your City Council their thoughts on some of the strategic plan topics. So let's listen in as your City Council shares their perspectives. So Matt, what was Milestones last year?
Last year, 2020, that was the year of COVID, Mayor, but there wasn't all negative that year. We came together as a community and really started shopping local, supporting local businesses more than we already did. So I like to see that. Our sales tax numbers were up as evidence of that. So it could have been a lot worse.
Absolutely, it was a crazy year. If you'd have told me in March that our sales tax dollars would be above the year before, I'd have told you were crazy. And that happened. That's the crazy part about last year. And this year continues. I mean, we had 1,104 new home permits issued last year.
I mean, that's more than the last 3 years combined, probably.
It's a 96% increase over the year before, 800% increase over 3 years earlier.
That's amazing. So everyone knows about our little secret here in Casa Grande. We're not a secret.
I think the
anymore.
word's out. The word is out. So it's really a great opportunity, I think, for our community. To your point, we did come together. People did help. They did mask up. We're seeing the numbers going down now. So that's a good sign, and I hope that continues.
And kind of along that, us coming together as a city, we had our CG Cares grants to help our local businesses stay afloat. And I think everyone we had a ton of applications for those and gave out over $250,000, I think.
Yep, just under $500,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
So fantastic.
So that's all excellent. We had Lucid open up last year. I mean, they started producing cars in a year after they started breaking ground. That's pretty incredible for a 900,000 square foot facility to be scraped ground, constructed, and cars being produced. So
and now getting ready for their next expansion, right? Pretty soon.
They've already sent to the city their plans for phase 2. So they want, as soon as it goes to council, the first, not council, but it has to go to council. Planning and zoning. Once it gets through them, they're actually going to start scraping ground for that phase 2. So that's another 3 million square feet.
Yep. A lot more jobs for our citizens too.
They've revised their job numbers. It was 2,000. They think they'll have 1,600 by the end of 2021.
Wow. New jobs.
They expect their total jobs at build-out at 2028 to be right around 6,000 employees. Now, not all will be here in Casa Grande, but a majority of them will be here in Casa Grande. So Lisa, tell us a little bit about the census this last year. I know that was you and I worked on that project together, and how successful do you think we were?
Well, of course, I think we started out, full force, and the committee was definitely dedicated and passionate about getting the word out. We all know the importance of the census and what it means to the city, but of course, we face challenges, with COVID. Exactly, with COVID. But I must say, the school district. Thank goodness we got on it early on, because the school districts and the businesses were able to really push out the messaging, and so I do believe we got a lot of people to respond early on. But in the end, I believe the self-response was pretty good, and that of course the total number in the end. But I do believe the committee did a great job on getting the message out.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think we're waiting for the final numbers to come in. I think in April. Right. It'll be out in April. So, excited to see the numbers. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. My guesstimate is about 60,000. Mm-hmm. So.
And we're not the only ones that face the issue, this issue with COVID. So, countries across, or cities across the country are going through this. But I do believe that our community really understood, how important it was to get counted. And people, the school districts did a fantastic job. And you, Mayor, you did a great job getting the message out and pushing it.
It was a group effort. Effort. It was not just one person. So, Tell me a little bit about the homelessness effort. Where are we at on that? I mean, we opened the CG Cares facility in Pier Park, and then COVID hit. Then we had some issues with people getting sick and all of that. But are we getting that back?
So the CG Helps Resource Center opened, I believe, it's been about 2 years now. Yeah. So we were, definitely making momentum. We were getting funding. We had a nurse. We had a nurse. We had a couple grant opportunities. So there was funding available to help, staff and help supply services to the homeless. And then after COVID, it was definitely a challenge. They are getting open again. They're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 3:30. So they're trying to do it by appointment only, or keeping people outside. So you know, it's definitely, you know, we have a new employee there that's
Right,
going to
and
be
I
on.
know the city is helping to pay for a new employee.
An employee, yep.
Through some of our CARES Act money.
Right.
So they'll actually have a caseworker there at the CG Cares office.
CG Helps.
CG Helps. I keep saying CG Cares. CG Helps.
Resource Center.
Resource Center, which is in Peart Park, and they do have a resource officer now dedicated to Casa Grande.
Right, right. And then on top of that, you know, Pinal County Housing has funding available, and they're working with the Resource Center for utility assistance and rental assistance. So that's going to be key moving forward. There's a lot of people still struggling with paying rent and utilities.
And a new program rolled out this week, right through DES.
Yep.
So that application can be found on the DES website.
And I think that's the important thing, is getting the message out to people and how to find it. Because most people go to CAR and have to go through a long application process. But if we can minimize that, you know, paperwork or all that, so they can get definitely the funds that they need. So
yeah, definitely.
Yep.
So Donna, tell me a little bit about the process. How did you think our process went for our general plan update, the 2030 general plan?
Well, I think for us, the biggest setback for me was, you know, how are we going to do this and include all these people in it? And there were so many business owners that came forward, but more than that, we had so many community members that were invested in the process, and they really wanted to learn how we do business, why we do business, and what are we going to do in the future. To me, that was the big takeaway from that, is that we really included everybody in the process.
We did, and I think we really kind of knocked it out of the park with some of the land use. We taken downtown, for example, here and made this a redevelopment area, right? So now there can be more mixed use type land use. You know, businesses on the ground floor, apartments up above, and up as high as 3-4 stories now. So that's exciting for me, because I think that'll help our downtown develop. There's also some corridors we did, I-8, I-10, you know, Cottonwood, Pinal, Florence, right? So those are some of our main business corridors. We incorporated water into the plan. We also incorporated electric vehicle charging into the plan. So it's a pretty well-rounded plan. Now, do you think we'll have any problem with the election on May 18th?
I hope not. I think that I want people to realize that those that have been here for a long time, that we took all of that into consideration, because that's part of why we are with Casa Grande. We want that small town feel. We want people to feel like, you know, that is their home. But we have to realize that there's going to be growth, and we have to prepare for that so that we can do it logically. And I think that this plan allowed us to do that, and I think it showed the community that we can have the best of both worlds.
So, Jeff, tell me, you know, this is your first year on City Council. Tell me a little bit about workforce, education and workforce development. You're in the education business. How are we doing? Are we working together as a group? Are we coming together as a community, you know, CAC, the high school district, elementary school district, even our charter schools, right, for that matter of fact. Working with our industry, right? We've got these programs now, CTE programs we're doing that are helping on the technology side of the work equation. So what is your view of that, and how are we doing, and what can we do to improve?
Well, Mayor, I think we've developed a common vision among educators, business leaders, our colleges, that our kids are going to graduate college and career ready. We know that about 80% of the jobs that our students today are going to compete for are going to require more than a high school education.
That's right.
So we're all working together to make kids aware of that, to make them aware of the opportunities, things like Promise to the Future, that has been a very beneficial program for students in our community.
And I was shocked to find out that we're one of the few communities in the state that has that program.
I'm the only, as far as I know, we're the only community, or the only county in the state that has that program.
It's amazing.
But we've had a couple hundred students that have gone through our school system that have taken advantage of that, of getting 2 years tuition free at Central Arizona College. It's a huge boost to get them started in that. And so our kids are getting more and more prepared. They're more serious. We're excited as this pandemic's ending to get them back in school and continuing to work on these things, talking to them about success traits, attributes, and the business community. Whatever we ask for as far as support, they're always there to come in, lead lessons, provide demonstration. So there really is that common vision around that our students graduating college are ready.
Now the elementary school comes back March 1st?
We're coming, the elementary K-5 is going to be back full-time March 5th. The middle schools are coming back for hybrid for the first 2 weeks in March. And we got our fingers crossed as the numbers continue to go down that we're going to be back full-time after spring break. But as those numbers come down and we meet those thresholds, we're making plans, and I've got everything in place that we could have the kids come back today once those numbers hit the place.
Yeah, I know we're missing them just a little bit. The hospitalizations are down. They're in the yellow category. We need to get the positivity rate down there, and we need to get that, the cases per 100,000 in there. But we're close. We're going in the right direction.
Mayor, one thing that's been very helpful is leaders like yourself, our county officials, made educators a priority to get them up on near the top of the list for getting vaccinated. I was able to get my shots, and so my staff and most of the teachers within the community who wanted to be protected are protected. They've had their second shot in the 2 weeks, and so that's good news.
That is good news.
That our teachers have been able to do that, and they're ready.
And they feel comfortable coming back?
Absolutely, they're ready to go.
Good.
They were on campus today.
I know the students want to come back.
Oh yeah,
my grandkids are biting at the bit to get into school.
I had a Zoom meeting today with our 7th graders, and you can just see the excitement when I told them that it looks like we're going to be back 5 days a week soon.
Did you get a bunch of cheering?
Well, I have the volume turned off, so you can see it in their faces.
All right, okay, good, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Welcome to Casa Grande. We're glad to have you here. This is hometown to a lot of us, and I can vouch for what a wonderful place it is. I grew up here in Casa Grande, and we see a lot of change in Casa Grande. It's growing rapidly, and we're happy to have you part of it.
And speaking of that, with all that change and all that growth, what are we going to do with I-10?
Well, I-10 is an issue for all of us that live here and travel either daily or otherwise frequently up to the valley. I-10 currently is 2 lanes in 2 different directions, and it gets congested rather easily with the amount of traffic that it's dealing with.
It is. It is a really big concern of mine. Obviously, I've been all over it for the last 4 years trying to get people to pay attention and actually just put it on the radar. So it is finally on the radar. We actually may get some funding, not as much as we need this year, but it's going in the right direction.
Well, and Mayor, as you said, they are talking about it a lot at the state level, and we know that's what it takes to get the funding earmarked for that project. There is some that is there. It looks like the bridge will be widened, but that's an absolute, and the planning process is in place for the continuation of the widening from Casa Grande up to about the Wild Horse Pass area.
Exactly. And so that is our goal, right? Is we really are going to continue to press the state and the federal government as well, because that is a federal highway, and so we have a I-10 coalition that's working with our federal delegations. It's easy for me to say. Our federal delegations to also try and get some infrastructure money from the feds. So hopefully that happens soon.
And we can't forget our partners, our neighbors on the Gila River Nation. They have partnered with us in that effort. They're in favor of it. So we want to be able to work together, get the appropriate funding, and get it done.
Yep, along with MAG, right? Maricopa Area Governments is also a partner with us on that, and the county, Pinal County. So looking forward to getting that done. Mr. Powell, so we have this strategic plan that we've been working on, and one of the items in that strategic plan is blight removal, right? That's
yes, sir.
One of our concentration areas. So tell me a little bit your thoughts on it, especially as it pertains to the south side and what you've seen happen over the last couple of years.
Well, there's been tremendous accomplishments done on the south side recently. We had a yard there that was a junkyard and had been for years.
Glass.
We cleaned it up and got it out. We had another couple on the other side of town.
Still have one we need to clean up.
Yes, yeah. But as I say, it has changed so much, and a lot of the buildings people are taking interest in them and taking better care of them than they might have at one time. And as far as the residents in there, there's some really good people that live over there. And when you live on the south side, it's like you live behind a fence because the railroad track
Right. It's a natural
is
border.
there.
Yeah.
And then some people always think, oh, they're south side of the tracks, they're this or that. And we're blessed with some really good people down on the south side. And
roads and stuff, and improvements in the roads.
You know, roads were really big, and as you know, I had hammered that
every council meeting.
Yeah, please. And the main avenue, which they had quit, they'd come so far with it, they'd come up really to the crossing, and then from there on, it was just rough. It was potholed, and then as you turned south to go down Florence Street.
Now all new, right?
Oh yeah, it is. It just, and it makes people that live there feel different.
Yeah,
feel more appreciated and feel like, well, I live in a good place.
Yep.
We got really good roads and
that's awesome.
Yes. And
parks too. Parks we've improved.
Elliott Park belonged to the school district originally, and it sat there for the longest time, and it was just trees. And then some of the people, if they had been imbibing, would come and sit under the trees back in the past, not any time recently. But anymore with with your help, we've got in recreational facilities there. We've got in shades and those type of things, and it's really benefited. And I hardly ever go by that I don't see people.
That's
there,
awesome.
families there enjoying it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
yeah.
One of the biggest things, as you well know, is right across the street from Ash Avenue and Florence Street. There's a development that's going to take place.
Brand new.
And that would not have happened probably.
I think you're right.
Without kind of dolling things up and
yeah, that'll really, I think, put an extra shot in the arm
absolutely,
for the south side.
It's only a mile or less down to Thornton Road.
Right.
Where,
to our industrial park.
A lot of the industrial park, and
That's
they're
right.
talking about how many workers?
1,600 this year.
Yeah.
6,000 by the time 2028. It's unbelievable.
Huge. So I think that good planning, and I'm really glad.
Good hard work too by the council.
Yeah.
I mean, you all have done a phenomenal job, and it's a group effort.
It's a good group.
You don't do it with one person. So.
No.
So thank you, Mr. Powell.
Oh, you bet. Absolutely. My pleasure.
Now let's take a look at the Casa Grande Youth Commission. They have a scholarship program that they're offering this year for 11th and 12th grades. All the applications are due by Friday, April 9th. So get your applications in. '20 was a busy year, even during this pandemic. Consider that we built a 900,000 square foot greenfield electric vehicle car manufacturing plant in just 1 year. And that phase 2 will start next quarter. We had 1,140 new home permits. And in the last 6 months, we've had over 800 new permits, so double that. And that's what I think you're going to see this next year. I-10 widening is beginning to receive funding, and it's moving forward. And it can't happen too soon. Our general plan, public process, happened in 2020 and will be voted on by you, the voter, May 18th this year. It will include a water conservation plan. We call it Save It. It will include an electric vehicle charging program and plan. It will include business areas that have mixed land use. Will allow for different types of land use in the same area. It will have a downtown redevelopment mixed land use as well, which again will allow for different types of building and densities in your downtown area. Additionally, we conducted an 18-month-long 2020 census, and we established the Chamber of Commerce's marketing program. It's love it, build it, park it, work it, save it, CG. So love it, CG. And finally, as COVID infection rates come down, vaccinations increase, and we begin to open up, please, please continue to be vigilant and safe.
Well, Casa Grande, we're out here today at Dave White Golf Course at Dave White Park. We've got pickleball courts, basketball courts, handball courts. Really, I just want to say that the future's so bright in Casa Grande, you got to wear shades.
Thanks everybody for joining us today. The State of the City has been recorded and will be available on the city's website at casagrandeaz.gov. Additionally, if you have any questions or comments, please send it to pio@casagrandeaz.gov, and we promise we will respond. So lean forward, Casa Grande. Together, we will continue to shape our city into an even more amazing community where families will want to live, work, and play for generations to come. Thank you.